You'll have to forgive me if I seem a bit nervous. Not many people travelling in this part of Ferelden. Of course, that's part of my problem, isn't it? Mule got spooked by a wisp and ran off into the woods. Now what do I do? Ah, waiting for my helper to find the damn mule, of course. It's freezing! Oh, I suppose you meant, why am I out here? As in this part of the country. Allow me to introduce myself. Felix de Grosbois, merchant and entrepreneur at your service. I don't normally take this route, but with the war, I was hoping for a bit of luck and good weather in the mountains. Sadly, I've had neither. Ugh, this trip has been one miserable disaster after another. I don't suppose you'd consider helping a fellow out? Of all the other things that went wrong, the worst is this artifact I brought in Jada. It's a control rod, I'm told, for a golem. No point in me keeping it, however, as I'll never get to use it. But, maybe you could? The dwarf I brought it from said it activates and controls a golem. So long as you have it in your hand, the golem does what you say. Might be useful, no? I mean, you look like the sort who could use one, yes? The catch? Yeah, I suppose it is a catch, isn't it? The catch is that the golem didn't come with the rod. It's supposed to be down in a village down south, waiting to be activated. Even if I could get down there, which I can't, I understand the place has been overrun by darkspawn. That's not such an issue for adventurous types like yourself, surely? Or I'm hoping that's so, at least. The fellow I brought it from is a long-standing contact. He didn't want to come to Ferelden, however, with all our troubles. He said he got it from the man who owned this golem. But to be honest, I have no idea if it will work. Hence the low price? What do you say? Nothing. I just don't want to have to lug around something that might be taken for a gemstone by some bandit. To be honest, I don't even know if it'll be useful to you. I paid too much to simply throw it away. Just as well. As I mentioned before, you'll find the golem down south, in a town called Honleath. I'll mark it here on your map. Just hold up the rod and say Dulaf Gar. That will wake the golem up, so I'm told. I hope it works. Best of luck to you then. Now, I guess it's up to me to find that mule myself. The Darkspawn have sensed us!
This is a golem, I believe. Damaged, perhaps beyond repair. There may be a way to reactivate it, though that is not necessarily wise.
Darkspawn!
By the Maker, we're saved!
You weren't sent by the ban, were you? To save us? A Grey Warden? Here! Thank the Maker for our luck! But if you weren't sent by someone, why are you here? If you don't mind me asking. A merchant? Why would a merchant... Oh, I think I see. This is about Shale, isn't it? I should have known. That damnable golem brought us nothing but trouble. My mother sold the rod years ago after it killed my father, and good riddance! My father's name was Wilhelm, mage to the Arls of Redcliffe and a hero in the war against Orlais, and what did he get? One day, my mother found him outside the tower, with so many broken bones she could barely recognize him, and Shale standing over him just like it is now. My father deserved better than that. But if you really want to wake Shale up, well, it's yours now. My mother never talked about it much. I was just a small child when my father died. Look, I know you probably have more important things on your mind, but I really need your help. I know you already saved my life, and I'm grateful. But my daughter is inside the laboratory. She was afraid and ran too far in before I could stop her. I don't know how she made it past my father's defenses. One of the men tried to go after her. He was killed, but you could find her, couldn't you? There are defenses my father put down here to keep strangers out. I knew about the barrier. I had the key for that, but the rest of it... Well, we never came down here. Ever. You will? Thank the Maker! My father's laboratory is just past the next area, I think. She has to be there.
What do you mean you've never climbed a tree? Don't cats like to be in trees? Oh look, someone's come to play. You have come to play, haven't you? We're playing a guessing game. It's better with more people. Father? Oh, you can tell him I'm fine. Maybe he'll come and stay with us, too. Anyway, you should go if you're not going to play. Kitty finds you distracting. Kitty's clever. She says you want to take me back to my father, but I'm not going. She would be lonely.
You are so kind, Amalia. I would miss you dearly if you left.
Of course she's a cat. She just talks, that's all.
Talking is simple enough, once you know how. Nothing you say will convince Amalia to go with you. She loves only me now. I am her friend, while you are just a stranger. I have done nothing. I am all but powerless. The mage made sure of that, didn't he? I cannot leave this chamber. No, Amalia found me. After decades of isolation, her company is welcome.
Ah.
It seems we are at an impasse, so let me propose a compromise of sorts. Release me, mortal, and let me have the girl. Let us return to her father and leave this place forever. That's such a crude way of putting it. I do not wish to harm Amalia. I merely want to see your world through her eyes. Is that so wrong? Thank you. You are very gracious. The mage's wards hold me within this chamber, and only a mortal may approach them. There is a trick to disarming the wards, but I do not know it. Perhaps you will succeed where the girl failed.
Oh, this is so exciting! Kitty is going to be free! I've always wanted a cat, and Kitty is so perfect and pretty. I like it when Kitty sings to me. Father doesn't like cats, but he never met Kitty. Kitty says Grandpa Wilhelm locked her up in this room. Isn't that awful? Kitty is my best friend. I was thinking about the sun, silly. Tell me a story. Oh, it's a flower. Is it a daffodil? I like daffodils.
Yes. I can feel the magic fading. Oh, I had forgotten how it feels not to be caged.
Kitty? What's happening?
A wonderful thing, my dear, for both of us. Betrayal! You will not take the girl. She is mine!
Kitty! You're scaring me! I won't let you inside me! I won't!
You did it! You freed her! Thank you so much!
I'm sorry I ran away, Daddy. I was so scared.
It's all right, Butterfly. You're safe now. All the bad creatures are gone. You'll need a phrase to activate Shale. It's Doolan Han. I wouldn't want the thing, but it's obvious you can handle yourself just fine. Now we should go, and quickly. Thank you again. We owe you our lives.
I knew that the day would come when someone would find the control rod. And not even a mage this time. Probably stumbled across the rod by accident, I suppose. Typical. I stood here in this spot and watched the wretched little villagers scurry around me for, oh, I have no idea how long. Many, many years. I was just beginning to get used to the quiet, too. Tell me, are all the villagers dead? Some got away, then. How unfortunate. Familiarity breeds contempt, as they say, and after 30 years as a captive audience, I was as familiar with these villagers as one could possibly be. Not that I wish their fate on them, no. But it did make for a delightful change of pace. Perhaps I may have forgotten after all the years of being called Gollum. Gollum, fetch me that chair. Do be a good Gollum and squash that insipid bandit. And let's not forget, Gollum, pick me up. I tire of walking. It does have the control rod, doesn't it? I am awake, so it must. I see the control rod, yet I feel... Go on, order me to do something.
I don't appreciate foreign objects invading my personal space. Well, usually.
And, nothing. I feel nothing. I feel no compulsion to carry out its command. I suppose this means the rod is... broken? I suppose if I can't be commanded, this means I have free will, yes? It is simply, what should I do? I have no memories beyond watching this village for so long. I have no purpose. I find myself at a bit of a loss. What about it? It must have awoken me for some reason, no? What did it intend to do with me? I see. Wonderful. I suppose I have two options, do I not? Go with it or go elsewhere? I do not even know what lies beyond this village. I watched this village for so long, unable to move or act. My memories of anything before are vague at best. So I have no idea what I want to do. I'm glad to be mobile. Was that not enough? Did I? I remember that I had a former master. The mage with the furry brows who poked and prodded and barked orders. Did I kill him? I hope I did kill him. Perhaps the last order he barked was, Gollum, stop crushing my head. Ah! Yes, I'm just funny that way. I will follow it about then, for now. I am called Shale, by the way. This should be interesting. Different? Different than what? Different than a statue? Different than a log? Should I talk in a monotone? Yes, Master, I exist to serve the Master. I shall kill for the Master and only for the Master. Perhaps it expected me to have a booming voice. Recite limericks. I can recite limericks, if it likes. I have never met another golem. I have no idea what one might be like, or why I wouldn't be like them. Why? Has it met other golems? Did they not sound as I do? I don't know what other golems might be like, but I am already superior by virtue of my free will. This is a good thing. Imagine the benefits. No need to eat or sleep or perform other functions. Walk underwater, crush the heads of every opponent. The possibilities are limitless. Barring the occasional 30 years or so of paralysis, there's little to compare. Now stop talking so much. The wagging of its moist little tongue is distracting. Oh, that. Merely reflecting on the hopeless nature of the task in front of it. The most likely outcome is that it and its companions will become a stain on some rock for the Darkspawn to tread upon. I shall be moved to a single tear by the tragedy. It's true. One single tear, and then it's off to the north, I think. Or maybe west. I haven't decided. What's that? Did it hear flapping wings? There may be pigeons nearby. We should be alert. It doesn't have better things to do. I like to think of them as accessories. I suspect that it is an art that was practiced when golems were more, commonplace. My former master collected whatever lore he could find on the subject. He searched far and wide to collect what crystals he could and then added them. It is not an unpleasant sensation. As I understand it, the crystals allow me to alter the flow of magic around me. Wilhelm had hoped to turn me into a battery of mana, something he could tap at will. Not really, although now that I think of it, these attempts may be what caused my disruption. Some of the crystals increase the presence of mana, some absorb or reflect spells. There are various kinds. All I can promise is that should it ever find one of these crystals, I can likely tell it the function and what it would do if added to me. Why not? I don't get to wear clothing and other adornments like the rest of you creatures after all. That answers its question, I assume? Unless it has more. Did I not already tell it that I do not remember doing such? I remember having a master. My memories of what happened to him are vague. Clever and true. Oh, very well. Let me see what I can recall. My former master enjoyed experimenting upon me. I remember that much. There was tinkering with spells, and then the crystals. He was very eager to alter my function, I think. Flattery, and obvious flattery, too. I feel warm and fuzzy inside. He possessed my control rod, and back then, it would have prevented me from doing anything he did not command me to. no matter how I might have wished to. So what happened? I am unsure. He was experimenting, and then nothing. Ho, ho, ho. It does like to laugh, does it? But who knows? I may have such a thing. And then he was gone. I was standing where I was, in the village, and I could no longer move. The villagers came, poked and prodded me in fear, and then realized they could neither move me nor destroy me. So they simply left me. And in time, I forgot I hadn't stood there all along. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Very much so. For so many years, I'd had to leap to that little toadstool's every command. Get this, pick up that, put it down, pick it up again. The gall! At first, I'd hoped he'd simply decided to leave me there paralyzed. An acceptable trade-off. After years passed, I simply stopped caring. I think I was ready to move on. Another few years and the moss would have covered my face. And then where would I have been? Whatever the mage did seemed to render the control rod useless, for which I should be thankful, yes? And provided it doesn't decide to copy his experiments, not that I would allow it, it is nothing to fear from me. Much. So I have come to realize, if that was not the case, I would have gone elsewhere by now. Doesn't knowing that make it feel good? Let us get back to the walking and the fighting. My stone is beginning to itch again. I've watched a lot of humans in my time. It should be aware that I have decided that it is not much like any of them. Surely it must come from some superior lineage, yes? Some breed of flesh creature that has decided to elevate its genetic stock above its natural shortcomings? Then that must be it. The humans have always spoken about elves being inferior, but obviously this is their own stupidity talking. I would appreciate if it didn't spread around that I said anything. Humans might start to get the wrong idea. They might start thinking their race is not completely hopeless. Indeed, can it imagine the horror? Oh. Now, let us crush something into a fine paste before it starts to think I've gone all soft. Perish the thought. It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. I do not sleep, so yes, and I thank it for reminding me. Try to imagine, if it will, what it would be like to be surrounded by nothing but boring peasants, all oblivious to it. And then there were the birds. A whole village full of pigeons and ravens and sparrows all perching on me day in and day out. Those foolish villagers would spread birdseed near me, drawing the birds, because they thought having birds perch on me was quaint. Quaint! If there hadn't been the occasional kind soul to scour me clean, I don't care to discuss this anymore. It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. Oh yes, that I remember quite well. My former master, the Mage Wilhelm, he brought me. As I recall, he had acquired some position with whatever lord ruled the land. I, being little more than a glorified possession at the time, was brought along. Oh, how he enjoyed impressing the villagers with me. Gollum snarl at that villager there, be fearsome. And of course, I would have to do it. I'd have happily stomped them all into paste, and then ripped down their little houses and stomped on them, too. In fact, after 30 years of watching them, I'd do it twice. What I didn't like was being ordered to do it. Dangled in front of those frightened morons like some scary thing. Once I was a statue, it took those villagers years before they'd even approach me. The first one to actually work up the nerve to touch me urinated himself. Ugh. That is where Wilhelm kept me. He wanted me out in the open where I could be frightening like a scarecrow. I was supposed to watch for thieves. Pah! Plus, his wife didn't want me indoors. She said there wasn't room for me. Hag. I was once larger, 10 feet tall. Then the loathsome hag complained that I couldn't fit through the doors. So the mage had me shrunk down. Can it believe it? And she still wanted me out. With a chisel and a lot of nerve. He did love using that control rod. Fondled it so much, his wife actually threatened to throw it in the lake. Ha! I would have liked to have seen that. Which reminds me, where did it find the rod? Did it pay a great deal for it? Good. Clearly, I am worth it. I traveled with the mage. He did a lot of traveling, I remember that. But where we went, it is rather fuzzy. I remember great battles, fighting many humans long ago. They were all very soft and squishy. And before that, No, there are only images. I was somewhere dark. I have no idea. Wilhelm used to brag that the dwarves stopped making golems centuries ago. I do not age as you soft creatures do. Sadly, my memory is no better. Plus, I get bored and stop paying attention. Good. I was just about done talking about it. It does like to have a good chat now and again, doesn't it? It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. That is true. I do not. I'm not interested in getting into a discussion on the subject, however. Ask another time. If it is done asking overly obvious questions, let us find some humans to throw off a cliff or something. It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. That part I know, as Wilhelm often bragged about it to whomever was willing to listen to him. He claimed to have found me in the Deep Roads. I was in the ruins of a Tig, he said, deactivated, with my control rod not far away. I think I remember a battle. It was long before, and then there was darkness. Bah, in short, no. I do not remember why I was there. It makes no difference. It was a hobby of his, scavenging. One of the reasons he traveled so much is that he was looking for entrances into the Deep Roads, old places the dwarves had long forgotten. And then he would sneak down and search for magical treasure, before anyone was the wiser. Indeed. He had spells that allowed him to remain hidden and move quickly, but he had no defense against the Blight and worried constantly that he would get sick. If any Darkspawn showed themselves, he fled. More often, he would have to fight other scavengers, dwarves who had become tainted. In the end, it killed him. I mean, he found me there, right? I wouldn't have had to put up with the twit, and I would be none the wiser. I don't think I was aware while I was there. Not like in the village. Or perhaps I was. Perhaps that was the dark place. and I simply couldn't see anything. How long could even I sit in the darkness and stare out at nothing, never sleeping? Oh, I do not wish to think of that. No, that secretive bastard refused to tell me. I would ask and ask, but no. He used to say that one day, if I were compliant and didn't talk back at his wife, he would take me there and I could look around myself. Rotten, lying bastard. If I had his head in my hands now, I would squeeze it like a giant lemon. Squish. On then.
When I last walked this hall, Endrin was king and Orzammar was at peace. The memories often speak of the swiftness with which change overtakes us. But it is different to see it firsthand. I apologize, Warden. I should not burden a stranger with such thoughts. I am Zebor, the Shaper of Memories. The Shaper it guards Orzammar's knowledge. We have preserved in Lyrium all of the records of Dwarven history. The memories record all. They are how we know to which family a child owes life, how we trace lost ties. They ensure we forget nothing of our past, good or bad. We were a great empire once, outnumbering even humans and elves. We traded with your Tevinter Imperium, and our land stretched as far in the deep roads as theirs did above. Kal Sharok was capital then, but we lost too many battles. We lost our golems, and we lost our territory. Now the Empire is simply ruined tunnels filled with Darkspawn. They were once our highways beneath the mountains. Now the Darkspawn claim them and few venture there, except your order, who enter the deep roads when they retire, so they can die slaughtering as many Darkspawn as possible. The Paragon Caridon, a smith of unsurpassed genius, invented the golems. For years they were our weapon against the Darkspawn. One golem is worth a dozen dwarves in battle, but Caridon's tag is far into the deep roads. When it fell, we lost his secret to creating golems. There are books about it along these walls if you would read more. Yes. We have only a few dozen left in Orzammar, and I do not recognize this one. Where did you find it? Every golem is precious to us. We'd pay a good sum for a new find.
I'd sooner jump into a pit of lava.
Unfortunate. Was there anything else? I must tell the rest of the Shaperate about this discovery.
Ah, I see it found some of the crystals that I told it about. Well done. So, what does it think? They don't make me look any wider, do they? I find I'm already too wide as it is. It must be the vertical pattern it put them in. Did it know to do that? It must have. I think it should find some more as soon as possible. I want to glitter from ear to ear, so to speak.
My name is Caridon. Once, longer ago than I care to think, I was a paragon to the dwarves of Orzammar.
Caridon, the Paragon Smith. Alive?
Ah, there is a voice I recognize. Shale of the House of Kadash. Step forward.
You know my name. Is it you that forged me then? Is it you that gave me my name?
Have you forgotten then? It has been so long. I made you into the golem you are now, Shale. But before that you were a dwarf, just as I was. The finest warrior to serve King Valtor, and the only woman to volunteer.
The only woman? A dwarf?
I laid you on the anvil of the void, here in this very room, and put you into the form you now possess.
The Anvil of the Void. That is what we seek.
If you seek the Anvil, then you must care about my story, or be doomed to relive it. Though I made many things in my time, I rose to fame and earned my status based on a single item, the Anvil of the Void. It allowed me to forge a man of steel or stone, as flexible and clever as any soldier. As an army, they were invincible, but I told no one the cost. No mere smith, however skilled, has the power to create life. To make my golems live, I had to take their lives from elsewhere. So said my king. I had only intended to use volunteers, but he was not satisfied, and soon a river of blood flowed out of this place. Finally, it was too much. I refused, and so Valtor had me put on the anvil next. Not revenge. The blow of the hammer opened my eyes. My apprentices knew enough to make me as I am, but not enough to fashion a control rod. I retained my mind. You were amongst the most loyal, Shale. You remained at my side throughout, and at the end, I sent you away out of mercy.
I do not remember.
We have remained entombed here ever since, and I have sought a way to destroy the anvil. Alas, I cannot do it myself. No golem can touch it.
No! The anvil is mine! No one will take it from me!
Shale, you fought to destroy the anvil once. Do not allow it to fall into unthinking hands again!
You speak of things I do not remember. You say we fought. Did you use our control rods to command us to do so?
I destroyed the rods. Perhaps my apprentices eventually learned to replace the rods. I do not know. But if so, then all they need is the anvil to make all the slaves they need. You, please, help me destroy the anvil. Do not let it enslave more souls than it already has.
Don't listen! He's been trapped here for 1,000 years, stewing in his own madness. Help me claim the anvil, and you will have an army like you've never seen!
Branka, you mad, bleeding nugtail! Does this thing mean so much to you that you can't even see what you've lost to get it?
Look around. Is this what our empire should look like? A crumbling tunnel filled with darkspawn spume? The anvil will let us take back our glory!
So it fights with Caridin? Good. That seems right.
Thank you, stranger. Your compassion shames me.
No! You will not take it! Not while I still live!
Branka, don't throw your life away for this. Just give her the blasted thing. She's confused. Maybe once she calms down, we can talk to her.
Bah! You're not the only master smith here, Caridin. Golems, obey me! Attack!
A control rod! But, my friend, you must help me. I cannot stop her alone.
Not exhaust our supply. Shall be done.
Another life lost because of my invention. I wish no mention of it had made it into history.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Stupid woman. Always knew the anvil would kill her.
How is it that the woman was not able to disable me as she did you, Caridin?
I do not know. Have you been altered?
I once had a pathetic little mage of a master. He did something to me, experimented on me, and then I killed him, and it rendered me paralyzed.
Perhaps he was bringing forth old memories, and caused you to remember the time when you fought at my side. The paralysis you speak of always resulted when the Master perished. As for your free will, you were always a strong woman, Shell. I am pleased to see you remain such.
I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Do not thank me. All of this is my doing, my legacy. But at least it ends here. I thank you for standing with me, stranger. The anvil waits there for you to shatter it.
It was good to meet you, Paragon. I intend to ensure that your warnings about the golems are heard by the Circle of Magi.
Is there any boon I can grant you for your aid? A final favor before I am freed from my burden?
Yeah. I don't suppose you can bring Bronca back. Maybe make her a golem like you.
I would not do such a thing to her, even if I could.
Somehow I didn't think so. Well, and I don't want anything that would remind me of this. Best it's just done. There is still the matter of the election. I mean, we still need a Paragon to get the Assembly support, right?
For the aid you've given me, I shall put Hammer to Steel one last time, and give you a crown for the king of your choice. There, it is done. Give it to whom you will. I do not wish to hear their names, nor anything more of them. I have already lived far beyond my time. I have no place here. You have my eternal thanks, stranger. A trust in Al Tunsha. May you always find your way in the dark. No. Perhaps it thinks I should.
It may have something to do with Caradon's words. If there is some way to make a copy of these runes, I am willing to study them. Perhaps there is something to be gleaned from them. I know not.
Names. Long list of dwarves. Wait, hold on. We honor who have made this sacrifice. Let their names be remembered. Fart me a lullaby. It's a memorial of all the dwarves who became golems. Has to be. If there was some way of getting this back to the Shaper at Norzimar, I bet they'd brown their trousers and pay good gold for it. Probably both.
Shale of House Kadash. Is that who I once was? I find this difficult to believe. I am not a dwarf. Or at least, I'm not a dwarf any longer. If I was this Shale of House Kadash, as Caradon said, there must be some evidence of my existence remaining. I must find it. I need to know that this is the truth, and not simply believe. What Caradon said, it has allowed me to remember one thing. I believe I know where Kadash Taig is. Its offer is appreciated. I will mark the location on its map. If we can journey there soon, I am most curious as to what we will find. I have a question for it, if it will indulge me. It chose to side with Caradon and destroy the Anvil of the Void. I agree with its decision, and yet the Paragon Branca was the reason it ventured into the Deep Roads. Why did it choose to defy her? It could not have known for certain that Caradon would be able to assist it with the dwarves. That was quite the risk. I am pleased that it worked as it did. At any rate, I wanted to thank it. It gave Caradon the end he wanted, and I'm pleased to have been a part of it. I will have to think on Caradon's words to me. It was a great deal to absorb, but for now, let us go on. It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. I did not think it needed to be said. It has never told me what gender it is, has it? Good for it. I am sure that to other creatures as soft and weak as itself, that would be perfectly obvious. The truth is that whatever gender I was is irrelevant now. I am a golem. I have no gender. It will not become an issue. Right. I catch it staring at my behind, and I will feel very awkward. Now, let us crush something soft and watch it fountain blood. That is a girlish thing to want to do, yes? It speaks. Yes. It destroyed the Anvil of the Void. I would not have thought... It could just as easily have defied Caradon, I think. I feel I owe it. Enough that I'm willing to remain with it and assist in its crusade against the Darkspawn. Unless it wishes me to leave. No doubt. Without me, it would have to carry its inventory on its own. Perhaps we should continue. Its chances of success are small enough without further dawdling.
more dust.
This is it. Kadash Taig. Perhaps. It may also be where I was found. These ruins are always overrun by vermin. There may be something noteworthy further in, however. Was this the home once? Did I live here?
The Darkspawn have sensed us! Very well. I shall do it. As you say.
I'm uncertain what I hope to find here.
Very well. You say.
What is this? This I remember. It has dates and names. This is to honor those who volunteered, those who became golems. And there is my name, Shale of House Kadash. Just as Caridin said. I remember now. I remember, Shale. That was me. I will need to think on these things I have learned. Perhaps I will speak to it of them soon. For now, let us carry on as we have. It has occurred to me that I have been... Excuse me. This is not easy. It occurs to me that I have been less than charitable with it since it reanimated me. I have come to realize that it has been good to me. You have been good to me, even though you had no control rod to enforce obedience. I have never had one before, so I don't know how to thank you for being, you know. That too. I followed you expecting to find answers to my questions, but I think I have found something better. Oh, let us not speak of this awkward bonding moment ever again. To the road. Everything in here appears to be breakable. It seems most impractical. Its journeys are fascinating. I had thought its chances slim, but perhaps I'm even wrong on that point. Does it wish me to leave? I can, though I see no reason to go. Refreshing. Normally, such words would be accompanied by the wave of a control rod. I shall remain as it asks. Perhaps we should continue. Its chances of success are small enough without further dawdling. So the Archdemon is next, is it? Part of me is glad that it has decided to leave me here at the gate, but the other part is apprehensive. I would almost say that I feel concern for something other than myself, even maybe for a soft, squishy companion. But that would be silly, wouldn't it? I know. Please do not tell anyone. I doubt I could blush, but it would be so awkward. And, do try not to get swallowed whole. If the beast were to fly about afterwards and poop it out, irony would dictate that it would land on me. I couldn't take it. Well then, I suppose this is it. Have fun storming the castle.
And then, it was over. With the Archdemon dead, the Darkspawn horde quickly crumbled. Most fled back into the deep roads. They would remain a threat in the years to come, but the Blight had been ended before it had truly begun. Ferelden had been saved, and the entire kingdom rose up to joyously greet its new king and queen. Grey Warden stood redeemed, and a new age had begun. But at what cost?
My friends, we are gathered to celebrate those responsible for our victory. Of those who stood against the Darkspawn siege of Denerim, there is one in particular who deserves commendation. the one who led the final charge against the Archdemon, remains with us still. An inspiration to all he saved that day. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the hero of Ferelden, the first Grey Warden to defeat the Blight since Garahel 4 centuries ago. My friend, it is hard to imagine how you could have aided Ferelden more. I think it only appropriate that I return the favor. Is there any boon that you might request of Ferelden's king? If it is within my power, I will grant it. Now that's a very good point. I think we can begin with a monument here in Denerim, dedicated to the Grey Wardens who have fallen. Duncan, Riordan, all of them. And it is high time some scholars were collected to learn more about the Darkspawn. We'll face them again, with the dwarves as well as here. Let it also be known that the Arling of Amaranthine, once the land of Arl Howe, is now granted to the Grey Wardens. There they can rebuild, following the example of those who went before them. What are your plans? Will you remain with the Grey Wardens? I don't suppose the Grey Wardens are really in a position to stop you, are they? And let me say, I hope your travels bring you back this way soon. Don't be a stranger. There's a group of Ferelden citizens waiting outside to get a look at their hero. I suggest you make at least a brief appearance before they storm the gate. Just tell the guard at the door when you're ready.
The hero of Ferelden. My. How does it feel? Of that I have no doubt. It's a title you'll be wearing for a long time to come, just as Loghain wore his. But it's not so bad, is it? A blight defeated with the other nations barely becoming aware. Who could ask for better? I don't think many heroes ever do. I'm glad not to be on the receiving end of all this attention myself. I say, let the young have their fame. Not that I've gone without notice. Irving asked me to take over as first enchanter, but I don't wish to go back. Not after all this. Instead, I've decided to travel. Shale has expressed a desire to go to Tevinter to look into a way to regain her mortality. And I will join her. It seems that a creature of flesh impressed her enough that she is willing to discard her notions about them being frail and disgusting. I wonder who. At any rate, I offered to bring her before the Tevinter mages. Their lore is considerable, and I've always wanted to travel to Minrath Ruse. I doubt we will meet again, young man. If not, please accept my best wishes.